Because it's awesome being bilingual.
That's gonna be the intro.
No!
Volaron las amarillas, calandrias de los nopales, ya no cantarán alegres los pájaros cardenales. A la tirana y nana, a la tirana nana, ya no cantarán alegres los pájaros cardenales. Árboles de la ladera, ¿por qué no han reverdecido? Por eso calandrias canten o les apachurre el nido. A la tirana y nana, a la tirana nana.
I have a learning disability and I have dyslexia. So growing up from my early ages, it was really hard for me to grasp just one language. And in my household, it was spoken both English and Spanish, mainly Spanish. So for me to be able to say, like, I know both languages, I know how to speak both English and Spanish, I knew the hard work that it took. It didn't come to me easily. And then now that I'm learning other languages, it's even, you know, I know the benefit that comes to it, not only in being able to communicate with someone else, but also be able to understand a different culture through their language. It's an art.
Bilingualism for me was growing up, you know, I learned Spanish first, didn't know English when I went to school, had to learn it on the fly, but I did well because, you know, when you're a little kid you learn quickly. So I learned in kindergarten mostly, and then by first grade I was up to speed with everyone else.
It's like, it's having like the best of both worlds. Being able to speak Spanish and English. I never really realized that until like probably in high school when a lot of my friends didn't know I was Mexican, so they were really surprised when I was like, yeah, I speak Spanish. And they're like, what? And then they're like, you speak English like so well. They're like, you can't even tell, you don't even have an accent.
At least being fluent, or you know how to speak just more than a language. So I guess you could just say fluent more than one language.
My mom had a really good understanding that if she didn't teach us Spanish, if she didn't put that effort early on in our, you know, life, then we weren't going to learn it. We were going to learn it in the level that we know it now. I don't think it was by choice. I think it was just kind of forced upon us, which I was totally fine with it. You know, it's like eating your vegetables. You just kind of have to do it.
So I started getting classes from my aunt. She would go to my house and just teach me, help me read and stuff.
I never noticed that I was bilingual, but I guess I grew up speaking Spanish, and then in English, like in school, that's where I learned English. Like at home, it was always Spanish, but at school, it was always English.
It was taught to me mostly. You know, I was raised in a Spanish household, so Spanish was my first language that I learned. And because we are from quote unquote the United States, the schooling system here is taught based on English.
Yeah.
Even though they don't want to say official, English is the official language. But you know, being raised in a Spanish household, I already acquired learning how to speak Spanish.
There's been a lot of, is animosity the word, or is it just racism? I'm not sure anymore. But Spanish for a long time, and still to this day, is looked down upon as an inferior language. And language comes with culture. And being prideful of your culture, I think, gives you a lot more confidence and strength to go out in the world and, you know, kick ass. And say, yeah, like I know Spanish and I can defend myself in Spanish. Can you do that?
Because you can communicate to people, with more people from different cultures, from different places, and you can understand them. And understanding people is important, because if you don't understand someone, that's when racism comes in. That's when, you know, you start being prejudiced. If you understand someone, you can talk to them, and you're more likely to, you know, realize you have a lot in common, and you're not really that different. So that's why.
I feel being bilingual is the same as being empowered. It means empowerment to me, just because, I don't know, it's just beautiful being able to speak two languages, you know? Not a lot of people can say that, and it's like, damn, you know? Like, I know two languages. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, not only being able to understand it, but to speak it, write it, read it. It's very empowering because that's just a big demographic of people who you can like interact with and learn from and cultivate and like.
Important to me because at least I have a bigger audience to communicate with. So it isn't just like, oh, I only speak to people who speak English or I only speak people who speak Spanish. It's just an asset because you know, like you need communication. Communication is a vital thing. So you learn a lot about things. Me learning how to speak Spanish, and I'm a very talkative and social person. You know, I speak to a lot of random people. I speak to a lot of like Spanish folks. You know, I ask them basic questions like, hey, where are you from? You know, what you doing here? What's up with you? You definitely learn a lot from it, and also you are practicing the language you speak every day.